everyone, welcome back to Trek A Day. I have another book suggestion for you. This one is one of the more recent TOS books. This one by Dayton Ward, Agents of Influence. This is one that my wife found for me, and we thought the premise sounded rather interesting. It is all about the Cold War era conflict with the Klingons during TOS. This book takes place about 1 year after the episode Trouble with Tribbles, and ties into the themes there where there was a Klingon spy disguised as a human. This starts with the extraction of some Federation agents that were altered to look Klingon, actually living on Kronos, and trying to get as much information out as they could. They were being extracted finally, their mission complete. Things did not go as planned, and it delves into a possible secret weapon and a Klingon scientist working with some Orion pirates. The Enterprise is the vessel that goes in to attempt to figure out what happened during the extraction process and mount a rescue. And it's interesting because not only is it a fun kind of spy adventure story on one part, then it's also a very TOS era Star Trek episode. On the other side, it also gives you the different perspectives, which I really enjoyed. First of Kirk and Spock and everyone on the Enterprise, and of the Federation agents, as well as on the Endeavor, the ship that was sent to rescue them. And you also get the perspective of the Klingons who were involved and the Orions. And I liked that back and forth, giving you a more interesting, more complete picture of the events that are taking place within the book. And it didn't feel like too much going back and forth. It didn't feel like that yo-yo effect where you're kind of yanked from plot to plot. It made sense every time. It was well structured to where you're moving from perspective to perspective. And just being that it was on the Endeavor, without spoiling anything that occurs with the Endeavor during the course of the book, it's a nice tie-in to where this is a great way of tying into things without being kind of the way what Marvel does, where you have to watch or read a million things to know what's happening. Here it just is even more interesting if you are familiar with that ship or those characters from the Seekers book series or the Vanguard book series, but there's no prerequisite, like it's not a requirement. It's just an extra layer of interest if you have read those books, which I think that's a good choice. That's done well. It's one of the best ways, I think, especially some of these more modern ones can tie in, where it's a completely isolated adventure, but there also are connections if you know what those connections are. It also gives some hints as to what's going to happen in the future to Praxis in Star Trek VI. So a lot of little hints here and there that make sense within the context of the story. So it was well structured, well done, and I think a good read.